you deserve some sort of award, medal, if you will.
Australian of the Year is fine, if that's what you want to nominate me for, Adam. Hello everyone and welcome to The Deep Drop. My name is Luke McCredden and with me, as always on The Deep Drop, is Adam Ring. And before I even, attempt to make any sense of The Deep Drop, for anyone who might be new and has just jumped on the podcast, which by the way, welcome, great to have you here, I'm just going to throw straight to you because you always seem to make more sense of it than I do. Adam, what is The Deep Drop? What are we all about? What are we trying to do here?
Well, The Deep Drop is, let me lay out a scenario for you, Luke.
Please.
Through the journey, whether it be people that you've met, kids, whether they're your own or someone else's, those ones that just ask too many friggin' questions?
Yeah.
We're those kids. So we
great.
We ask way too many questions.
Yeah.
But where the twist comes in is we try and make sense of those questions and break it down into a palette where you can digest it.
Yep.
Form your own opinions.
Yep.
And then let us know what you think. Because it's an open-ended game, this fishing business, and we ask way too many questions, give you way too many paths in which you can answer it, and then we ask you for the answer.
That's it. That's perfect. That's what I needed. I needed help there because it's a challenge sometimes when people ask. But I like that. I like that reference to the kids. So we're kind of the annoying kids asking too many questions, but then before anyone's had a chance to tell us to shut up, we've tried answering those questions.
Well, we're the worst type of kid ever because not only will we ask too many questions, but we'll also answer them. Maybe even posing the question, why did you ask them in the first place? We're just trying to work shit out, Luke. It's what we do.
So there you go. If you're new here, that's it. Try and make sense of that. And that is what we're about. But welcome. It's great to have you on board. Anyone who's been along for the journey so far in any capacity, whether it's 50-odd episodes or 20 or 10 or 2, welcome and thank you for hanging around. It's been a lot of fun thus far, ads, and I know we've got a whole stack of fun stuff coming up, mate. But, I guess it's a great starting point because, sometimes we come into this completely, unaware of what's about to come our way. And I know I've thrown doozies at you, you've thrown doozies at me. And then what we tend to do is lean on you guys out there, the listeners, to give us some information. Instagram's the best place to do that. So jump over there, let us know your thoughts. We get a lot of messages, which is completely fine. Private messages, no problem at all. Feel free. But at the same time, comment on some of the posts. There's no wrong answer, really, is there?
No. And I guess that's kind of the point of what we do. There is no wrong answer. So, look, speaking of, maybe not stupid. It's actually something I think about more than what I probably should.
Right.
So I've been doing the rounds. I've seen a lot of tackle shops in a short amount of time. That's what I do for a job. But I've noticed there's been a new release of something that, and I'm not entirely across it, I probably should have prepared somewhat. But I dare say it was probably
It's not
announced.
our style, lads. It's
not. So I'll just try and piece some bullshit together. And actually, shout out to Mickey Moore because I think he's going to be able to help me with this one. But I've noticed Abu Garcia have just released a new reel or a new range of reels in both spinning and bait cast. The bait casts have been in shops for a little while. I've noticed them. I think they look rather sexy.
Yeah.
But I've noticed the spin reels have started to make their way into stores. Now, I dare say they were announced at AFTA, so the big trade show on the Gold Coast that happens every year around August, September, depending on the year.
Yep.
And they caught my eye, Luke. I'm a tackle junkie, as I know you are.
Yes.
You're in the tackle business in your day job as well. And I called you after I'd seen them. I said, you know anything about these reels? Because typically my preference for reels hasn't been Abu. And it got me thinking, how brand loyal use. So take a rod and a reel, because, and I'll use these Abu reels as an example.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time I used an Abu rod or reel.
Yeah.
Actually, it was probably, I think, the first decent reel that I ever got was bought at a Melbourne boat show, which was an Abu reel.
Yeah.
And these reels caught my eye, and I thought, I reckon I'd spend hard-earned on those reels.
Yep.
They look great. I picked them up, had a bit of a play. I know nothing about them. I don't know the specs. I don't know the price points. I don't know any of that. But from just a face value, I thought, I've used the same brand of reel for a long, long, long time.
Yep.
And I thought, would I try something different and use that reel? And I think I would. They passed the eye test. They felt beautiful. I had a look at two different reels. Like I said, I don't know the price points. They both felt just as good as each other.
Yeah.
What do you like with that sort of stuff?
Great observation, firstly, on the Abu spin reels. I think, the Revo name is synonymous with some of the, the bait cast options that Abu do. But you're right. I mean, bringing spin reel to the party, the spin reel to the party, which is great. I mean, it's you're right. They look sensational. They do feel nice. So I'm going to first answer your question with a question. So you said, would I go that way? My question would be, why wouldn't you? So when you think about the reels that you choose to use on a daily basis when you're out in the water, whether it be whatever it is you're doing, and then you think about this reel, you've had a bit of a look, you've had a bit of a feel and play, and what is it that wouldn't make you use it, if that makes sense? Was there anything that you thought, no, I'm not going to use that?
No,
it doesn't sound
not
like
particularly.
It.
No, not particularly. And listen, I'm probably, at this current point in time, the world's worst person to speak to about this, because...
Just in general? Or no?
Just in... Because I do work for a company, and I take pride in being proud to work for that company in Rapala.
Of course. Yep.
So and I genuinely like and want to use the stuff that I'm selling. So
yeah,
I'm probably the worst person in the baitcaster side of things. 13 Fishing,
Yeah.
we that's part of our stable as well. So
Yeah.
I'm a massive advocate for those. I rate them. I would use them but I'm just talking in that. I would, because I am a little bit of a sucker. I get stuck in my own ways.
Yep.
So
thanks for opening up today, Ads. This is a safe space, mate. It's a safe space.
It's hard for me, Luke. It's hard.
All right, so
but I'm trying.
One of the other things you sort of asked is where do I stand in that sort of thing? You're right. I feel like you get in your own head a bit about this thing. Now, I'm just generalising here. We know two of the biggest reel brands as far as sales across Australia go are Shimano and Daiwa, and they're
it's them and the rest.
Oh, exactly.
Let's be honest.
Yeah. Miles apart. But it's not for any what's the word? Like, it's not because the rest are shit.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
There's legacy there. There's
heaps of things. There's
yeah.
The difference in feel, and it's something I've explained to many, many people over a long career on the retail side of the business.
Yep.
Shimano and Daiwa in particular, they're incredible products. They feel completely different.
Yep. Globally, they've got a huge presence.
That's right.
I think it's a bit of a package, but I think moving forward, there's no doubt. Like, you see it with 13 Fishing, like we see it with other brands that are out there. People are absolutely dipping their toe in the water and I won't even say dipping their toe. They're using other gear, but I suppose on a mass front, it's very much those couple of real brands at the forefront. But 100%, we've seen some real brands over the years, Ads, that the range might be smaller and tighter, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with the product, and the people that buy them and use them will swear black and blue, because there's no reason, unless there is a ridiculous reason, glaring reason, that it is just not going to suit your application, it is just not up to the fight, it is just doesn't have the componentry to use it, then I would argue that in modern day technology, now I suppose just to take a step back, I'm not talking about, a $30 reel up against a $450. We're talking like for like, right? So it's as far as I suppose we could call it a price point like for like goes, there are some really nice products on the market, absolutely. And again, back to your opening question, absolutely, I'd go down that path. And I am 100% the same as you. I've been probably stuck in my ways a little bit, and I'm just thinking now I would hazard a guess that 90% of, probably more than 90% of my reels are Shimano reels. And for no real reason, like
same. I was the same. That's what I felt comfortable with. That's what I liked. I have tried other reels. I always went back that way. It just suited what I like. And I still am using that because in the Rapala stable, for example, we don't have spin reels. So there's that. But are you someone naturally in the fishing game? Are you inclined to go, that looks awesome, that feels awesome, I'm just going to try it? Or do you look at it and go, yeah, okay, it looks cool, but it's not what I normally use, and tend to steer away from it?
I think you know me well enough to know that I can get very easily sucked into something that looks cool.
Yeah.
But having said that, yeah, like I probably am a little bit. Well, it depends, and again, it probably depends on, if you put the consumer hat on, like how much are you going to spend, and you weigh it up. You go, well, if it's getting up there a bit, if we're talking a bit mid to higher end, you do. You probably think about it a bit more. But I would also argue that the mid to high end price pointed reels are going to get the job done.
Oh, for sure.
It was funny. You also said, Abu, you bought one of your first reels, or you had it years and years ago. I wonder, and I'd love to do the stats and the numbers on anyone, and let's say 35 years old and older. I'd love to do the stats on how many of those people have at one point in their angling career had an Abu reel.
Oh, I reckon
massive,
because mine was an old Abu Cardinal.
Yep,
remember Cardinal?
Yeah.
Now we all know that there's an amazing history with Abu 7000s and 6500s and 5600s. They were the higher profile drum style bait caster of choice for a very, very, very long time. So it's
and
not
also
like,
for a very wide range of application. If you talk to people, and shout out to my dad, I'm not sure he listens, but in his vintage, and to be honest, if we go back there, Shimano and Daiwa weren't even near the top of the chain when it came to reels, and it was very much Abu Pen, I believe, was probably, so different world going back, into that era. But to your point, the Abu 7000, like, God, the amount of those reels that would have been in the market, even just here in Australia, like epic.
Yep. And so it is really interesting how things change. There's only one thing that I still really struggle with. I won't pretend that I don't, and I dare say I'll never ever change. I really struggle with mixing brands rod and reel wise.
Do you?
Oh, mate.
Yeah.
It grinds my gears.
Okay. So I'm gonna throw something at you, and again, this is going back because you and I, well before your Rapala days, well before where I am now, but we were in a position to sort of, there was no real brands attached to us, so to speak. What about things like, what would you, because there were, and I know you do too, I've got Samurai rods. Now, there wasn't a real option. So what do you do there? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but that doesn't offend me. I almost think that's almost the easiest scenario.
Yeah, it's a free
find
a
standalone rod thing. Yeah, that's right. And you can do whatever you want.
You're talking, if you've got a Shimano rod, you've got a Shimano reel.
100%.
You can, yeah. Okay.
That's just me. No.
And look, to be honest, it's probably fair to say that's a fair chunk of people. I think that's a fair call. Like, without, and again, out there on, get on Instagram and tell us, like, do you mix
am I being a dick?
No, I don't think you're being a dick. I think it's a natural sort of thing. It's like, I don't know, what's a similar thing in life?
So what if we take a different sort of path with it? Let's carry that thought process and conversation over to lures. So a Rapala floating 5 or a CD5. It's
Yep.
the most iconic trout lure that you'll ever see.
Yep.
If you've been dominating trout forever and that's your go-to trout lure as it is for many anglers around Victoria and New South Wales, Tasmania specifically.
Yep.
If you then cross over to a saltwater application, do you automatically think Rapala will have something? Or do you know, I just know that for catching trout, a floating 5 or a CD5 is money, and then I'm gonna build my tackle box around that, knowing that that's where the sort of go-to is? Or
Great question. Yeah, I mean, and again, maybe it's probably something that someone a more diehard in those spaces can answer for us. But I think for me, I'm probably a bit of a lure brand slut. And you know I love your gear. I've got probably shares in Rapala and the amount of stuff I've got. But at the same time, it doesn't. I just want to go back to the rod and reel thing just briefly, or more so the reel thing. So what about line? So if you've got I know you've got lots of Shimano reels. You've just said that. Would you run Daiwa J braid, or does it have to be Shimano branded braid, or a?
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, okay. So it's not. It's just rod and reel that you're talking.
Yeah. Which
does it feel weird for you if you chucked on Shimano braid or leader's probably a stretch, but that Kairiki braid on a Daiwa or a spin reel? Like, do you know what I mean?
I don't know. It doesn't. I think in a strange way, it kind of. I think it kind of bothers me, but it's not a. It's not a flat out not happening.
Yeah. But look, I think it's a good one. I'd love to get some feedback on that. The rod and reel situation. Are you willing to cross pollinate?
Yeah. That's right. Are you happy to mix and match your brands?
Yeah, there's probably a bunch of. We've probably sort of jumped all over the place here. There's a bunch of sort of questions here, but the mixing and matching of brands is a good one. It's one I'd love to explore a bit more and hear a bit more about. But also, what's your ratio? Or, where's your allegiances or preferences lie?
It's so weird because if I had a Shimano reel, I wouldn't look at it and go, right, I have to buy a Shimano rod. But I couldn't go and buy an Abu rod knowing that there's an Abu reel, or I couldn't buy a Daiwa rod knowing that there was a Daiwa reel.
Yeah,
like you've got those outliers like Samurai or Rapala who make some rods, or Gamoku. Yep. They just don't have real equivalents.
The thing is too that, and realistically, a lot of the brands that have rod and reel options, there are elements of their ranging that are suited for each other. And what I mean by that is, obviously, and I mean, Abu is probably a good one. There's rods and reels that are cosmetically suited to one another. And I mean, I think not as obviously, but certainly in the Shimano stable, most rods will cosmetically suit up nicely to one of their reels. So there is that too, I suppose. Yeah. But
so what are your thoughts on like branding the name of the rod the same as a reel? So let's just use 13 for example. Say we have a 13 Concept A baitcaster. If we made under 13 a Concept A rod, do you what are your thoughts on that? Are you like, you're probably just screwing it down too tight, or does it make it easier to purchase knowing, well, I've bought this reel, that rod must be perfect for it?
It's almost, I don't know, I'm going to be completely honest, like I'm kind of on the fence with this because part of me, in a weird way, almost, I almost feel like it somewhat, and it's not the right word, but I was going to say cheapens it, but it's not what I'm trying to say, but it's almost like there's trying to be a combo made up.
I agree.
And I don't love it.
Yeah, I agree. Like if you found out tomorrow that that Shimano were bringing out a Shimano Stratic rod, you'd be like, please.
Yeah. No, but I do reckon there are situations where it could work, and not so much. Like for example, actually, no. I'm going to retract what I was going to say. What I was going to say was if there was a high end range of rods that Shimano brought out under the Stella brand, but I go no. Actually, still no for me.
It's weird because Dye would do that.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do.
With Saltiga and Saltiga rods, or Steez and Steez rods. And they seem to have moved away from that somewhat in recent years.
Mm.
It's
maybe
such a weird thing.
Reason.
So then what about if you spend...
But Abu do it, don't they? There's a Revo rods as well? Or am I making that up?
I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe. Mickey Moore, get in touch, mate.
At the time of this podcast being released, I'm on my way to Pure Fishing in Sydney.
Nice.
So I'll find out and get back to you. It's bad. I should know that.
So then what about price pointing stuff? Do you think it's do you think you're being a bit of a tight ass if you go and spend $300 on a reel and then go and slap it on a $150 rod?
Ooh, I think I know where you're going with it. I think the price points 150 is not. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, maybe. I think if you're talking 300 plus, you're talking sort of mid to getting into that sort of mid to high end.
Yeah.
Obviously, on the high ends we know is well up there, but a $300 reel, it's a pretty good reel,
Yeah.
So yeah.
So you're saying it probably deserves a $200 to $300 rod.
Yeah, but at the same time, I'm a bit different with this. See, I don't necessarily. This is a whole other conversation that we're going to have in a different episode because this could go on for too long. But and I'm going to put it out there, but we're going to tackle it in another episode. The question would be, what's more important, the rod or the reel?
Yeah, write that down.
That's next
write that
episode.
down for another episode because that's
so stay tuned.
That's a
that
belter.
Going to be
belter.
on the next episode. Yeah,
yep.
Because I've got weird mixed feelings about that. And,
same.
And I'll this is a heads up. My answers are going to be all fucking over the shop.
Yeah.
But
write that down. We need to pull that apart.
Yeah. So, and you know what? We're not going to answer it right now. We're going to answer it in the next episode. To your point about if you buy a $300 reel, can you buy a $120 rod? Because in some cases, straight off the bat, I think it's fine.
So do I. Yeah. So do I. But I won't get into it now. It'll go on.
Do you know what I mean?
This could be a 5.5 hour podcast. No one needs that in their life.
But I think it's great. I think it's there's so many sort of talking points out of just that discussion around the.
So I guess the question to everybody who's remained patient and got this far through this podcast, because listen, I'll be honest, I've nearly turned it off 3 or 4 times. I'm that confused.
You got up at one stage, and I was wondering where you were about to go.
Because I think we've gone on multiple different tangents, so apologies for that. But I guess the final question is, how loyal to your preferred brands are you? And I'll just leave it as open-ended as that. You can tell me that you will only buy one specific brand for everything, and that's cool because these brands are just now developing more and more things in different parts of thing. You can tell me that you would slap a Shimano reel on a Daiwa rod. Listen, I'd probably be a little bit disappointed in you, but I promise to leave that out of the comments.
Can I be honest with you for a second? I've got an outfit that I don't use a hell of a lot, but I have used it. You've been with me when I've used it, and I've got a nice little Shimano Trinidad, which I don't do anymore. That 10? Was it the 10s that we got? Or 8s?
Yeah.
10. Anyway.
Yeah, I think that's.
And it was a beautiful little overhead reel for, if anyone is familiar with Trinidad, beautiful, neat little, it's really smooth, tough, strong, beautiful little overhead reel, which I used for jigging kingfish lightly. So it wasn't a heavy sort of setup, but also live baiting snapper. Feeding. But I really struggled to find a rod in the Shimano stable at that time. So we're going back. Jesus, what? 10 years?
A long time.
And I ended up, the rod that I found that suited it the absolute most, and I still love it, it was a Daiwa Demon Blood. when they were all, I'm sure they've changed now, when they were all red, the whole rod was red. So there's an example of probably the only cross-pollinated setup I've got, and I love it. And I've only just thought of that now, but there it is. And I'm not ashamed of it, Adam. Come at me.
Well,
this is taking a turn for the worst.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't know. I don't know how this friendship continues. This could be our last podcast.
Well, find me another. Okay, find me. Go shopping when you're in. I know you're in some stores tomorrow.
Yeah.
Find a rod that will suit that Trinidad 10, and you can buy it for me, and then we'll be happy. We'll call it even.
Well, I bought one of the reels at the same time as you.
You did, yeah.
And mine ended up on a discontinued Shimano rod.
Was that the giant Lucanus?
The
rod?
Lucanus,
which I bought too, and I think I threw it out.
I think I've still got it.
It was about.
Oh, actually, no, I don't, because my Trinidad ended up on a Gamoku, believe it or not, before I worked for Rapala.
Nice. But from memory, those rods were about 8 foot long, and that's okay because they're two-piece. No, the joint
butt
section was the butt.
so the rod was still 7'6". Well, I'm not going to go there because we will go there in another podcast, okay. I guarantee. But it brings up another question.
So, how loyal to brands are you when it comes to and specifically? Well, I mean, open across the board, but we're talking about rods and reels.
Rods and reels, yeah. I think lures. I think if you're, let's face it, if you're 100% brand loyal to a specific lure, you're either a sponsored angler or you work for the company. Yeah. Because there's so many good friggin' lures out there. Like, how could you really specifically just pick one brand?
Yeah, and even if it's the high end stuff, if you're sort of a cod angler using all Megabass stuff or whatever it is, but there's still going to be something else that is really good that you have to use as well.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, good. How loyal to brands are you? Can't wait to hear about this one. I think this is going to be good.
Yeah, this could open up a bit of a can of worms.
Feedback. Now, I'm going to shift gears completely, Ads, because I want your opinion on something. Now, we've come up with some absolute bangers of ideas here on the Deep Drop.
We have.
I reckon we've potentially,
pioneered a few events.
Events. We're basically event coordinators. Yeah. I reckon we've, if you're a young entrepreneur out there, this is another episode.
We've laid the foundations for it.
I'm about to lay another one.
I'm all ears.
I think there is a full-time business opportunity. You could branch out and franchise it out across the country for a designated trailer reverser at boat ramps.
Ooh, this kind of falls in the same category as like on-water bait delivery.
Yes.
On-water food delivery, pies, pizzas, coffees.
You might reverse trailers from 5 till 9 and then you start doing the food run out in the water. Like, I'm just saying. Like,
reversing trailers.
Okay, but yeah, let's we're getting excited. But let's get to this. So, and I want to, here's a couple of reasons I want to bring this up with you, and you're a smart man. I want to know if you think it's a viable option and if it would work. But here's a couple of the reasons why I want to bring it up. I mean, let's face it, boat ramps are chockers this time of year. So basically from September, October, certainly November, right through to what? We're going to say easy Feb, March, like the boat ramp. And look, if we want to just talk about around Port Phillip Bay specifically, just for this sort of, I guess, example, then it's a no-brainer. But realistically, most places around the state and country, during the holiday period, if it's a nice day of weather, boat ramps are full, chockers. And that's great. And that's what we want. We want people hitting the water and getting out there. I mean, not jet skis, but... and so... What I was thinking was because, it's a high-pressure environment. When you're there, it doesn't matter if you're experienced or you're not. It is a pressure environment. And unfortunately, it can get tense. There can be some, and we were at the boat show recently, Ads, and we were very much encourage, helping each other and getting around each other and really helping getting the process going. But reality is it can be a tough time, and there can be lots of, we've all done it. We've all had that initial sort of reversing experience, whether you're young and old, where it just takes a few times. And the more times it takes, the more pressure gets, built up, and it could almost make you just drive home. So,
Luke?
so I'm wondering whether this could solve the congestion of boat ramps and take away the stress from the start of your morning, which should be an exciting part of the day in launching your boat.
You deserve some sort of award, medal, if you will.
Australian of the Year is fine, if that's what you want to nominate me for, Adam.
This is what I'm thinking straight away, just based off what you just said.
Yep.
You can go to the airport, you can go to a fancy hotel and get valet parking.
Yes, you can.
And makes you feel like a big dog.
Yes, it does.
Can you imagine valet parking at a boat ramp? I mean, you park in a line for the boat ramp, you get out, you essentially walk away, and you have a professional team of valets that then take control of your vehicle and boat. They take all the straps off. They check your winch. They know exactly what to do with your safety, boat catches, and they're like, step aside. All you need to do is step on your boat and get the hell out of here. Wow. Then on your way back in, quick phone call. Here's my car, Rego. No dramas, mate. No one's here at the moment. Come straight in. If you've got a drive on type of thing, just park it up on the dock, get off. We'll drive your boat on, get you out of there into a parking bay that's nowhere near the boat ramp, and then you can go and do your thing, putting all the straps back on.
Yep.
Could you imagine how smooth the busiest boat ramps in the country would run if no one except a valet service was launching and retrieving boats?
Amazing. I mean, that's it. That's exactly it. It's boat, ramp, valet.
Yep. It would be incredible.
What would you expect to have to pay for said valet? $10?
It's a good question.
$5? $20? I don't know.
Well, here in Victoria, it wasn't too long ago that we saw the end of boat ramp fees.
Yes. What a time.
What a time.
What a
because
time.
we were, and I don't want to get political, but we were paying for nothing.
No.
If you rocked up to a ramp and handed over a $20 note to take the stress out of your mind of launching, retrieving, and parking.
Oh.
So you could have all that done for you for less than a bag of pillies.
Yeah. When you put it like that. Jesus. Okay, do you have the option to do it yourself though?
I think depending on the day, weekends, no.
You just got to hand it over.
You just got to do it.
So just keep in mind, when I go to the airport, I've got the option if I want to self-park or valet.
Yeah. True, but you're still paying for parking even if you self-park.
Yep. Because ultimately you are handing over your boat to launch. There is that sort of, I don't know, do you feel comfortable, the safety aspect and that sort of thing? Or does that $20 sort of cover insurance to some degree?
Well, yeah, you couldn't run a valet business without the insurance. But it's
true.
But it's kind of no different. You have a look at the people that valet park. BMWs, Mercedes, Porsche, Lambo. They're not a clapped out VL Commodore.
No, it's a fair call. Just going back to when the valet first takes over, taking off straps and putting bungs in, I just feel like that's something the owner should do and should be responsible for. And I personally would feel more comfortable if I've put the bungs in. I'm not knocking the valet. I trust them 100%. They're doing a great job.
But if that's the case, what happens if the valet jumps in, reverses, no bungs?
No, okay. Maybe they can check. They do a check. They do a quick sort of safety check on the way. Straps off. Yep, cool. Bungs in. Sweet, we're good to go. Chain, winch. They do that. They do that from the top. But, yeah. No, look, we're getting bogged down in details.
We are.
We can work out details.
The concept is brilliant, and I don't think you can argue the concept.
Because I back that concept, by the way. A designated trailer, what are we calling it? A boat ramp valet.
Yeah,
boat ramp valet.
Boat ramp valet.
But one thing I've thought about for a while, and I don't know, and I haven't thought about this in enough detail to know whether it's completely ridiculous. But again, This is why we do the deep drop. Do you ever? I used to think sometimes when I'm at a ramp, imagine same sort of thing, right? But imagine you could sort of get to the point where you're about to back in, but up and down every ramp, there's like tram tracks,
like a conveyor belt.
No. It's more like a
escalator.
track. It's more like a track that potentially your jockey wheel, or even maybe there's two tracks where your trailer wheels almost lock into, and that's just a case of there's no steer. It takes steering completely out of the equation. You don't need to worry about steering. It's locked in. It's going straight regardless of what you do. It's just a case of gently bringing it down. Do you know what I mean?
So like some sort of like guiding.
Yeah, like a guiding mechanism that you sort of your jockey, or probably not your jockey wheel, but maybe there's something that locks into that guide when you bring your trailer to the top of the ramp to bring it down. Same sort of thing.
Any engineers out there, hit us up. Let us know if that's viable. Valet, I think you're a flat out genius.
Yeah. Okay.
I can't believe it's not a thing.
Yeah. Look, I'll stick to that because engineering's not my thing, Ads.
Yeah. Listen, you're only human, Luke. I think you've done an incredible job.
So okay, valet.
So not just valet parking, but just a valet ramp service that includes launching, retrieving, parking the car. You literally just step onto the boat, go, quick phone call, hey, I'm coming back in. This is my car, Rego. Sweet, mate. Take your time. There's about 15 trailers in front of you, but you're in line. No stress.
Yep.
Or, cool, mate, you're free. Come straight in. She's not too busy at the moment.
Yeah, and if it's somewhere like, say, Patterson River, they might go, yeah, mate, no worries. Come to ramp 3.
Yep.
And you go, yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, there's a couple there's a 5-minute wait, but just hang out.
Imagine how smooth.
I reckon, I would almost say that the retrieval process is the money.
Yeah.
That's the bit that you get fucked around with.
Yeah, that's right.
I reckon. I know launching it's a drag and it can take time, and I think it would help that. But the retrieval, being able to literally just go, mate, I'm on my way in, and all you do is just drive your boat straight onto a trailer that's already on the ramp,
would be insane.
Mate. And then literally that person hooks it up. So you're staying in the boat.
And just jumps in the car, drives you around to the bay and thanks, mate. He's on to the next one and you get out and sort the rest out.
Mate, that's where it's at.
100. That's proper legit.
I mean, the boating and fishing industries in Victoria alone employ thousands of people, let's be honest. We've just employed another bunch.
Yeah.
And you're welcome. Not only employed, we have that's a business opportunity for anyone involved.
Hey, we're creating jobs here at the Deep Drop.
We're creating lifestyles.
Add it to the resume, Luke.
Far out. What do you think? Yeah, and, to your point before, this might be, part of the overarching business that also delivers food, bait, coffee.
Yep. So, hey, get on Instagram. Let us know. Valet launching and retrieval. Is it a thing?
Boat ramp valet service.
Is it a thing?
Valet service. Are we on? Are we on the money? Are you want to get involved?
You're in? Like, hey, we're open.
Take it. That's what I'm saying. Take it. I don't want that. I don't want the business.
Oh, it's a gift for the people.
Well, I mean, if there's one thing we've done today, Ads, it's just open up a business opportunity.
Yeah. Again, it's just reward for sticking through the first half of this podcast that was proper dribble.
Yeah.
And we've taught you something. If you just stick around with us, every now and then we just drop a little gem.
Yep.
And it's worth listening to.
Fucking hell. We've just
it's worth the pain.
Righto. Well, that's us. We got to stop there. It's like, just quit when you're ahead.
Yeah.
We're ahead. All right. It's time for another beer. So we're going to leave this and go come up with another grand idea. That's what we're doing.
Head to Instagram and just say yes or no. Just wait for the tile. Luke, you're all over the tiles. I tip the cap to you, mate. I have nothing to do with any of that stuff. You dominate.
No, it's
look for that green tile with the black font on Insta. Boat ramp valet service, and just say yes or no.
Yes or no.
Yes or no.
And yeah, man, fantastic. Righto, we'll see you there because I want to interact. I want to get some reasons why yes or no as well. So start with a yes or no.
Yeah,
we'll go from there.
Let's do it.
Thank you everyone for listening. It's been a blast once again. Thank you, Adam. Righto. Thanks, everyone. Get involved. Follow along on Spotify, Instagram, The Deep Drop. Find us. Oh, we had some request ads during the week. A couple of people couldn't find or couldn't remember the name of the Deep Drop Fishing Tunes playlist on Spotify, which is full to the brim of bangers.
Might have to have a little sesh at home and add a few more
update
tunes, I think.
Yeah, update required. But go have a listen to that too, to and from work, while you're at work. I don't care where you work, just crank it. It will make everyone feel better.
Loud.
Thank you. See ya.